Computer.
Ugh.
We're gonna jump right into it, dude,
Let's roll.
because there's so much fucking happening.
We got real lives to lead outside of the chaos, you know?
Look at that, right on time.
I'd like to spend like another 2 hours just talking to you about how your life is, man. How you been over the quarantine and
Dude, so would I. Anders, you I mean, you say to someone you changed my life, it's sort of a heavy thing. I don't want to lay that on you, but you might have altered the course of my life. You might have forked it.
I like that. We had a good talk, man.
I was ready to hear it, man. Student is ready. Teacher appears. You don't have time to go into that now, but you said
now we're going to change the course of the world. We're going to one podcast at a time.
I had some bullshit story about the kind of person I was and the kind of work I did, and you were like, "Why don't you break up with that guy?" I was like, "That's a good fucking idea." So whatever put you in my path on that day, and I would say that to say I've doubled content would be an understatement. I've probably tripled at least the amount of stuff. Yeah, man. So you're awesome. I will love you forever for that. But there's so much to get.
We're recording now.
You can say something inappropriate.
We also have to. At some point we have to sit down and discuss the train wreck that was the panel that I ran at Spartan this year.
Absolutely, we can absolutely do that.
I can't wait.
You talking about our buddy Ben?
I'm talking about the whole thing.
Oh, that we were talking to no one in a windstorm? Like, you mean like
in
that?
A windstorm about context that nobody cared about, and you were the only person that was actually supposed to be on that panel. Right. Everybody else was an educator of like movement, nutrition, and the whole thing was basically about the role of media in sports, and nobody there was a sports person.
You and I were.
Yeah, but a panel, I have to somehow engage 7 people or something like that.
And one of them is Ben Greenfield.
And
listen, man, listen, I could talk to you for hours and hours.
I agree. Let's do it.
Well, sometimes I just like to go straight to dessert.
Yeah, I agree.
Like I'm going to do an intro to the show where I explain how we got here. But I want the reason I brought you on. The question I want to ask is, Glassman isn't going anywhere. Like asking him to go anywhere is like, I think like asking Dissenter to go somewhere. My question is, could sponsors, big names, just do their own thing?
They're already like create their own CrossFit, create their own sporting event,
right? Because Froning, right, is already doing that. I mean, listen. I know it's not easy, but putting on a comp is not.
It's easier than you would think.
Exactly. So you've got Rogue, you've got Reebok, you've got big names. You know what? We're kind of tired of this guy. We're going to launch a new thing. Are we there? Is that what might be the outcome here?
I don't know why.
There is no more games, or if there is, it's much smaller.
Well, I think that Rogue, so there's already pieces that have been in place for a long time as far as like James Fitzgerald runs it's like the Functional Fitness Federation or something like that, IF3 or International Fitness Federation, something like that. There's like petitions to get it to become a Olympic sport. The sport side of it is kind of like, once they got rid of the regionals, so even backing it up even further, the last 3 years leading to this point is the catastrophic thing. It's not just the comment. People have been like dying to, in a way, like break free, but they don't, because they don't want to admit that they made a bad decision or fail, right? Like nobody wants to be like, oh yeah, that was stupid that I became a CrossFit gym. Glassman's always been crazy.
I've backed the wrong horse here. Shit, what am I going to do?
wait, what? Yeah, exactly. It's like, I don't know any, Glassman is always, this one's above and beyond, right? But I was actually talking to Doug this morning about it, and I was like,
Doug Bledsoe.
uh, Doug Larson,
Doug Larson.
that one.
Who's
Mike
Doug Bledsoe?
Bledsoe.
Mike
Yeah,
Bledsoe.
exactly.
Sorry,
That's
I'm trying to
comedy. That's a
listen. I
that's
always
like
think
a
when I see the Bledsoe, I think Drew Bledsoe because I go
yeah.
back that far with the Patriots. So that's why I don't know
There
your
you
my Bledsoes.
Sorry, it was 8:30 in the morning. We're still having coffee together. Yeah, like there it is.
This mug says "Rad Dad" because I am in fact a
I
rad
love
dad.
that. I love that. Glassman has always been totally nuts. Like even when I owned my gym, like things would come out and you'd be like, dude, I'm just a gym owner. Stop making me answer questions on your behalf to my members.
Such as?
I wish I could remember. I mean, they used to have really, so in the early days, I don't even know if it's the early days, like in the middle days, when CrossFit was like exploding, there was like tons of business things that would happen, like protecting the affiliates, and brand identity problems that were going on. So like if you were an affiliate or you spoke out against some of the moves that CrossFit would do, Greg would personally write you an email that says you've been de-affiliated. You are no longer a part of our tribe.
Right.
And that, as a gym owner, was terrifying because you had staked all of your methodology and marketing and everything into this program. And then one day he would just come in and say, you're out. And on top of that, he had these like soldiers that were just like internet assholes, mainly by the name of Russ Green, or not Russ Green, Russell Berger. Yeah, Russell Berger. And he's the guy that got fired 2 years ago for the LGBTQ comments that he made on Twitter. And those guys would just come on and destroy people online. And it was like super embarrassing all the time. Um, and then the CrossFit Games thing happened where they like fired the media team. They basically like chopped the coolest part of CrossFit. It'd be like Desana coming out and being like, we're just a fitness program now, like no more races.
Right.
And you're like, what? Like we all want to do the race. And you're saying that the race isn't important anymore? Like, so now we just run?
But it seems as though people were still happy.
Yeah, because they still had the thing. They could still watch it. It was still interesting. There was still this like, it was still progressing in a way. Maybe not the way that they all saw it progressing, but it was still progressing. Dude, I think that Glassman just has had in the last like 4 months, he's always been very, very outspoken about his like extreme libertarian views, and politics has always played a role in CrossFit. You can go and look at all the articles that have been posted on the website from way back, and it's all very open and in front of you. But I think that he was having a very personal conversation, trying to take a cheap shot and talk shit to a large organization, and it came out so poorly.
Well, I'm going to be, I'll tell you what, it was such a bad joke. I didn't even get it. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was just stopped by my snooze alarm. It was such a bad joke. I didn't even get it. So I see this thing. Who put it out? Not the World Health Organization. The
I don't even know who they are. It's the modelers.
Right.
I didn't even know modelers were like a thing.
Right. So
I thought it was all like
they
university people.
Right. And they're saying, well, I don't want to pull it up. I want to stay focused here. But he says it's Floyd
You
Knight.
go on Instagram right now, you're out 20 minutes for sure.
Right. So he said it's Floyd 19. I literally didn't get it.
Yeah.
Like, I literally was like, what does that mean? Like, I literally didn't get it. And I'm a pretty bright, insightful person. So then someone's like, oh, it's a joke. He's comparing COVID-19 to the current situation.
Yeah.
So we had that in tandem with the email. I want to talk about the email a little bit, because as a journalist, when I see people sharing an email, my first thought is, how do we know this is real? How do we know this person wrote this? It wasn't doctored. Because I've seen, especially now, literal shit made up and sent out. Like, even stuff that I believe in, right?
Yeah.
Like, I believe in Black Lives Matter, and I saw someone post something about something that happened in this city that did not happen. And I asked them for a source, and they couldn't give me one. And they said, oh, people I talked to. Anyway, so the first thing I did was message Armin. I go, hey, Armin, is that real? Is that email 100% real? And he said, yes. So can you describe that to people and talk about that a little bit?
I'll actually just answer it in a way of how Glassman's reacted. So my general understanding of the email, because I didn't read the whole post, was that the owner of that gym reached out to Greg to say, we would like to help. And it wasn't a random person. It was somebody that had helped them with cultural issues, LGBTQ issues, somebody that had a history of helping Greg like walk through these problems in the past. And instead of coming back and saying, oh, this is another thing we'd like to work on you with, it was basically like, your political views have gone off your rocker. You're basically kicked out. I have no interest in ever talking to you, and I don't have it up. But the language was very aggressive. So the language that you read in that email, that did not surprise me at all.
Because that's who this guy is.
That is how he handles relationships with people that question him. He does not nicely say, hey, we're just not going to do that. It is, and I bet if you asked Armin, he'd be like, yeah, that's just normal. Like, that is a normal email that I would expect from HQ to come down to an affiliate that he feels is overstepping boundaries. I really, when I saw that, I went, oh, okay. Like, that's just, do we have a little one? There she is.
Is that your little one?
Yeah, that's her.
Oh my goodness. Now my little ones usually interrupt at some point when I'm working from home. But look at that shock of red hair. Look at that.
Oh, she is a little terror. She's awesome. But that really was actually the funniest part. She knows when I'm working because she comes in, she goes, Daddy, headphones on? So I put the headphones on her.
When River finds out there's a Zoom happening, he's all about it.
So I record little podcasts of her accounting and all kinds of fun stuff. But now Mom's coming in. Mom's doing that walk.
Mom, you don't have to do that walk. It's okay.
Mom's doing the walk. I think that like that is exactly how Glassman handles everything. That did not surprise me one bit. And I bet if you asked Armin, he just would say the same thing because he's been around so long and seen so many of those specific emails that the coarse nature and the very just, this is my thing, don't tell me how to do my job.
Well, since this is mostly the OCR audience, I am just going to flat out, I'm just going to type in CrossFit email and it'll probably pop right back up. Glassman to 9-year affiliate owner. You are delusional.
Yeah.
So I'll just
that's not that abnormal.
Right.
Right or wrong, that's just not that abnormal. So I wasn't really freaked out by that part.
I sincerely believe that quarantine has impacted your mental health. So first of all, that is such a disgusting thing to say to a person, right? Right. I sincerely believe that quarantine has impacted your mental health. Hey, Anders, I think you're fucking crazy.
Yeah.
That's what that is. You're doing your best to brand us as racist and know it's bullshit. That makes you a really shitty person. Do you understand that? You've let your politics warp you into something that strikes me as wrong to the point of being evil. I'm ashamed of you. So the crime, it's Royce, somebody named Royce. Sorry that I don't know this stuff. Do you know this person?
Maybe, I don't know. Roy, what's the last name?
Royse.
Yeah.
She referenced the work she did with. So her crime was just saying, "Can I help you with this?" Like that was her crime.
See, that's also part of emails and past history that you don't know what their relationship is. So it could have been a very rocky if they've already done this together. I don't know.
I'll just quickly. Again, this is Morning Chalk Up to give you guys credit. It was June 3rd. Owner of Rocket Community Fitness, formerly Rocket CrossFit, wrote a letter to Brian Mulvaney, chief advisor at CrossFit. In the letter, Roy stated that Rocket will be changing their name and will disaffiliate when it's time to renew. In the past 48 hours, an avalanche of gyms have announced plans. So
that's real life for sure.
So here's apparently he's got some super like wacky takes on the COVID thing. But I did watch the 7-minute video last night that I did not think was like horribly off base.
What? I don't even know what 7-minute video that is.
Well, if you Google,
is it from Glassman?
Yeah, it's Glassman giving a talk, and it's a 7-minute video that I'm gonna distill into 30 seconds. So go watch the video. It's 7 minutes. Listen, I can't sit through shit. I'm as impatient as anybody. I can't sit through an 8-second fucking ad. But I'm trying to. What do you call it? I'm trying to educate myself.
I have fun dichotomy stories about all this too. Go ahead.
And he's saying in this video, I don't know about other videos, but in this video, he's saying if 80,000 people die of COVID, but a large percentage of them already suffered from all the stuff that CrossFit is supposed to help. Okay. Like name 5 things that CrossFit's supposed to help.
Cardiovascular disease,
COPD, like all that stuff, right? Yeah. Like he was essentially saying, why are we putting so much, like all this other stuff, this is his overall feeling. Everything else that we throw this money at is a Band-Aid. CrossFit actually helps. It's the way to fix it. And he was saying, now people who have all these health things are being lumped in, and that's skewing all the statistics, which again isn't really that off base, because I have had that thought, Anders. I've watched the news when they show these giant numbers, like the really big numbers, and thought, well, a percentage of those people are going to die of something, right? Like we do know that people do die every day. So, but apparently I thought people said that he was like really on the wrong side of things with COVID before. And that's why this was sort of the end of the, what do you call it? The end of the fucking tornado.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why he was making such a personal attack at that. Look, Glassman's like an old ass dude. Like he's an old man.
Would it be fair to say he is a boomer?
Yeah. Like he's an old ass man, and it doesn't it's not that he doesn't understand the internet. He was like at the very beginning of the internet to build this thing. He understands what he's doing, but there's a very strong, and I'm not making excuses for anything he said. I'm just, you put yourself in his place and why that would come out. And he's probably been in very heated conversations, specifically because he has the power to get into that room, either on a Zoom call, in person, on the phone. He has talked specifically to those people and has a relationship with those modelers at that place, explaining his point of view of why their numbers are wrong, why they're looking at the wrong things, why they need to open gyms specifically back up, and the fact that he's got hundreds of millions of dollars on the line because gyms are closed. The longer gyms are closed, the less people need CrossFit, and that's his entire life, his whole life.
You don't think he's socked a few away by now?
Oh, he's definitely got something going on in Bahamas somewhere.
Okay. So,
but hold on. So with the comment that was made, he is making a very personal attack built off of a very high tension, aggressive relationship built over the last 3 months of distrust, anger, pissed offness, and he tried to talk shit online and make a joke, and it went bad.
I mean, I say, let me tell you this. I've been accused, dare I say, of being a troll at times, Anders. Bit of a shit stirrer.
You're loud.
Bit of a shit stirrer.
Yeah.
I have made racial inappropriate jokes. I've made homophobic jokes. Okay.
Yeah.
If anybody listening to me decides to unfollow me for that reason, you may. And I also would ask you to take a slight look at yourself. And if you have you ever, okay? Like this whole idea when they find company emails or company texts, and it's like, would you want somebody reading your texts? What things have you said? Joking, not joking? That right?
And just plain text.
What do you mean?
Well, you can't
right. There's no context behind it. Right.
It's just words. The words.
So that's the case. And I can tell you that for him to do that goes to show what happens when you are delusional himself and that out of touch, because I have, as much as a shit stir as I have had a thought, started to type something and been like, there's no way I'm writing that today. Right.
Yeah.
In the heat of what's going on. And here comes one of mine.
I love it.
Right?
Oh, what up?
He usually grabs a little chair, comes over here. But like, even with friends, right? Like, I'm not going to say that today. It's just like not really the time. So again, for him to make that quote unquote joke, which again, I still think is like, it's so bad and so not funny that like, oh, I won't get in trouble for this. Like, I'll just say this because it's funny because I do compare him to DeSena in many ways.
Yeah.
DeSena just gets looked at like a goofy boomer. When DeSena says things like, but DeSena also leans into it in this weird P.T. Barnum way.
Yeah.
DeSena said, Spartan's putting on a race this weekend. Okay. I will be there.
That's wild.
I will not be touching any disgusting obstacles, but I will be there covering people touching disgusting obstacles because I'm the media. I'm essential. But anyway, DeSena has said,
I'm essential. I love it.
Essential as fuck, man. DeSena has said, give me a vial of Corona because I know we all need to get it.
I have said that too.
Well, your hot take.
Mine has been.
But you're not the head of a.
If I could take a shot of COVID right now, hand it to me.
Okay, Anders, you are. You got a couple things going on, but you're not the president of a global brand.
It's a true story.
Like, you've got a brand, right? Like,
I talked to DeSena and he told me how much money he was losing by not having these races. And I could not believe.
Again, can be a bit of a stretcher of the truth. So you may want to drop.
Even if he was 30% lying to me.
Well,
even if he was 40% lying to me.
What if you drop a zero? Then is it still bad?
Still a bad number.
Yeah. So anyway, he's not hateful like that. He's never quite lived in that world of that Glassman world of fuck you, you're a piece of shit. Don't come to our races. Like, he doesn't go that far. He's a little too savvy for that. And he doesn't feel that way. What's weird to me is whenever I see Glassman, the head of the hottest fitness trend in the last decade, is you just see this weird old dude.
Yeah.
Does he have a hip injury? Hobbling around. That's what always doesn't make sense. Doesn't match my brain. Is that like DeSena is super fit?
Yeah.
And Glassman is like this old dude with a fucking can't even walk. I'm like,
yeah. The difference between those two really is that when you go to a Spartan race and DeSena's there, he's carrying a kettlebell.
Right.
And when you I know like Doug Larson and Bledsoe and all those guys have been to DeSena's house, and at 5:30 a.m. everybody wakes up and everybody goes and does burpees, and you're training and you do kung fu in the morning when you're as kids, and you're rolling on the wrestling mats, and you're doing like you don't look at Glassman and go like, oh, that's definitely a guy living the brand.
Right.
No matter how good of a personal trainer he was and how much of a thing he created, there's like an eyeball test.
Have you seen all of we're going to really have some fun here. Have you seen like the documentaries about the about Bikram.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Like,
dude, stuff like that doesn't freak me out. Like
but
it doesn't at all.
let's make
Because
the comparison though, right?
yeah, I mean,
Like,
Glassman's got like 6 kids from 4 or 5 different wives.
well,
Like,
I wasn't even going to go to the harassment point. I'm just saying there's something that can happen with leaders
yeah,
that
for sure. Why do you think they wanted to be the best?
that become like, we don't know where it turned, right? We don't know the day that it turned for Bikram. We don't know the day it turned for Desena, but you can lead cults. And then it's like, okay,
Totally.
I've got a cult following. What am I going to do with it? Right?
Sleep
And
with
with
the hot ones.
Sleep with the Hot Ones, says Anders Varner. I'm just going to cut out that clip, and that's
Right?
going to TMZ the fuck out of that.
Don't worry about the context of the joke.
Nope.
Just
Sleep with the hot ones. But again, I'm leaving that out of it for now. I'm leaving that out of it for now. Just the idea of, I've got this group of people who think everything I say is the truth.
Yep.
And I'm going to get rich from it. I'm going to get famous from it. Like, Glassman definitely reminds me more of Bikram than Joe does. Just that general, like, not quite in touch with reality, and just, I am the answer. I am the truth. I am the light. Fuck you if you think differently.
I think that
Sleep with the hot ones.
Isn't that great?
That could be the name of this episode, but
Sleep with the hot ones.
Times are a little bit too hot.
I just want everybody to know you should not just go around sexually harassing women. That is not the point of becoming a leader. It just happens to play itself out over and over and over and over again and
throughout history.
Yeah, I think that Glassman lives in between those two for sure. The thing that's really interesting about Joe is that Joe lives the brand 100%, but if I had like if I had unlimited resources and I could go like live with one of the 3 of those, I would 100% pick Desena, because I only want to watch him live his life. I don't really want to watch Glassman live his life, and I definitely don't want to watch Mr. Bikram live his life. Like, I want to understand, I want to like know what it's like to be Joe Desena and embody the habits and the way he lives that have led to the success he's had. I don't really want that with Glassman. I think also the thing that doesn't bother, I shouldn't say it doesn't bother me, it's super jacked up anytime you hear stories like this, but like, for a very long time, people have been creeps. Like, and you put them in power and they develop these cults, and now the internet shows up, and it's like, now everyone can connect their stories of this one creepy guy, and then they make this like 4-part documentary about his life, about how creepy he was and all this, and you're like, that dude never saw the internet coming. He was just in his little world. He was just in the pocket, and he's just, I don't know.
But again, like the
he's nuts.
Well, but the Bikram also had affiliates, right?
Totally, and they all have dumped. It's just hot yoga now. Most of them,
right?
As soon as that documentary came out, you started to see the change very quickly.
A lot of them had already done that, right?
Yeah,
a lot of them,
because he's a creep, like straight up.
Well, again, this idea of I've got the way, and there's something about that people are definitely drawn to, right? Especially younger people, right? When you get older, you kind of have a more clue of, I'm going to take a little bit from this bucket and a little bit from this bucket. I like to listen to Anders for this, but I don't really like him on that, right?
Yeah.
So I want to get back to the dessert question I asked at the beginning, because when it only takes a couple of dominoes for all of them to fall, right?
The big ones have already fallen.
And the first thing I saw was actually, I think Katrin had one of the first quotes, and I thought I was being very judgmental. I'm going to read it because it basically said, it didn't say I'm leaving CrossFit. And I remember thinking like, oh, well, you don't have the guts to, and if you really did, you would. But this is like, I'm truly ashamed, disappointed, and angry by what's been going on these past days. I haven't had much time to process this, organize my thoughts. I don't know what this means for myself or the sport, but for right now, I know this is not right and that needs to be said. And I, being a flawed human, was like, well, fuck her. She should just quit. And it's like, well, it's never that easy, right?
Yeah.
Like you have made your entire life about this thing, and what do you do? But once Froning got up, right, and is like, deuces, and the brands, right, now I feel like they're all coming. So if they're all coming, again, I go back to the industry, these other things that you mentioned, this IFF3 and all these other third tertiary parties. That's like Iron Man, right? There's a bunch of these smaller things, but nobody really cares. Nobody really cares. You might do the event, they might be profitable, but nobody really cares.
Yeah.
But CrossFit as a thing, right? And hey, this is about the community and we don't need these fuckers. Like all of that's real. So is the future, Anders, I'm asking the question, is the future, is there some new games that becomes sort of the headline, the umbrella that somebody gets under? Do you think Rich wants to be that guy, or do you think he wants to be just part of the news? Because like I said, these guys can all be on the phone. It's like, dude, you know what's going on with the NBA?
Me? No,
Yeah.
I don't know anything.
All right. Well, in all the sports, there's so much disparity, right?
Yeah.
In baseball, right? There's so much disparity between owners, between players, between certain players and some owners.
Yeah.
Like there's so much going on in basketball because it's smaller, right? There's a lot more they can work with, right?
It's much more cohesive unit of people. Yeah.
And so basketball, 10 guys got on the phone and said, we're going to make this happen, right? Because if LeBron doesn't want to play and KD doesn't want to play and these 5 other guys don't want to play, it's not happening. But if they do want to play, they're going to say to the owners, come to the fucking table, say to David Stern, commissioner, come to the table, let's figure something out. And guess what? They just figured something else. And none of the other sports have been able to do that because there's no 5 to 10 guys that can make that happen. So in CrossFit, I feel like there is those 5 to 10 guys, meaning Reebok, Rogue, and the top 5 from the games the last 5 years. Do you think those calls are happening? Do you think there's a Zoom right now with those people?
There's no way that they're not happening. I don't know how communicative. I would imagine something. I don't think it's with the athletes. I don't think the athletes really understand the business model behind it, but I think that Reebok and Rogue specifically has the trust and a real dominant position in it. I think they have a much more dominant position than Reebok does. I think Reebok was on its way out no matter what. Just because 10 years of being in business with Glassman, lawsuits inside that contract, there's just like, they're probably just like, they started that like Be More Human and the Delta logo with CrossFit, and then it went into OCR, MMA, like all of these like second level kind of sports, and they left Nike to handle the top 4 or 5 or whatever it is. And I think Reebok still has an NHL contract, but Reebok did a great job coming in and finding the average person that is like trying to be in shape and play sports.
And for millennials out there and younger, Reebok was a garbage brand prior to this.
It was embarrassing.
I mean, go just Google Reebok 90s. I mean, they were nothing. They were nothing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It was kind of embarrassing when Reebok signed on.
Oh yeah, when Reebok signed up with CrossFit and OCR, it was like, what? Like
why are they? Yeah.
What? That's my mom's like cross trainer. Like what?
Yeah. It's like step aerobics gear.
Exactly. Exactly.
So yeah, I think that Rogue probably has like the most trust. But then again, like how does Rogue make all their money? Dude, they sell equipment and they do it very, very well to CrossFit. I mean, to everyone now. Like they've gotten into strongman. They've gotten into like they're a global company. They're like Eleiko. They're probably even more financially successful than Eleiko. But on like
I don't know who Eleiko is.
Eleiko's probably. I shouldn't even say probably. Eleiko's the best barbell company in the world. Like without a doubt, they're the barbell that's on the Olympic platform every single time someone lifts weights to set world records. That's powerlifting, that's Olympic weightlifting, and Paralympic anything. They specifically make barbells. We actually went out and filmed a documentary with them about it. It was fucking awesome.
What's it called?
How to make the best barbell in the world.
Is
It's
that a
on
documentary?
YouTube. I wish we were on Netflix, but it's on YouTube. Go check it out.
Are you a producer of that program?
I did not. I did a lot of talking.
Oh, okay. You're like me. You're good at talking.
Yeah. You could call me the narrator, main actor, storyteller. But yeah, we put 6 interviews together, and then we made our own barbells. And they like introduced us to Sweden and why they have such a leg up on all this. But it's a really cool story. But Rogue probably has the most trust, the most built-in systems, understands like the quality of excellence that would go into creating a sport like that. They have all of the athletes' trust. That's probably like if Rogue announced tomorrow, we're doing it on our own.
The Rogue Games or whatever.
The Rogue Games. And we're going to consider Matt Fraser when he wins, the 5-time champion and the greatest of all time. That will hold weight. If Reebok comes in and does it, and Nike is still pumping out Metcons, it doesn't have the same vibe.
Got it.
But
Okay.
Nobody that is a top level athlete doesn't want to be sponsored by Rogue. Rogue is the equipment company. They have never been touched in the CrossFit space. There are no other competitors that matter. Rogue is hands down in every gym and every person's hands.
I was about to ask you what's so special about making a fucking weight, but I'm gonna watch your documentary because.
Oh yeah, I can give you the barbells
I just found this link. Tell me if I'm right. How to make the best barbell in the world, full documentary at Aleco Sport. Is that
That's
you?
Me. Yeah.
Okay. How do you have less views than my daughter on this video?
I don't know.
Did you not ask people to swipe up at some point?
Yeah, we did all that. It's just yeah, we can talk. That's so funny.
Emma has legit. My daughter has legit YouTube
that's
channel.
Messed up.
But no, it's just listen. You and I know that the world does not rise and set on likes and views, but it is the first thing I noticed that this thing has less than 3,000 views. So I think you need to retitle it, maybe.
Yeah, there's things I can off air tell you.
How about hot chicks and barbells? Can you call it that?
Totally.
And make one of those sweet YouTuber thumbnails.
Totally.
I think that's half your problem.
The hot chick goes well on the thumbnail. Yeah, they have a contract with a Swedish steel company that gets them. They basically have like a non-compete. So this Swedish steel company that has the greatest steel or whatever is not allowed to sell to any other equipment manufacturers. And they've just been in the business long enough. They have better raw products than everyone else, and that's the.
So back to your thing. If Rogue goes all in, we've got a new king and the world moves on. If it's Reebok and or some other people, it's not quite looked at the same.
You know what's interesting too? Just I don't even think that the sport part matters that much. The sport part to me isn't even really the important part of the story. It's the fact that NC Fit, all of Kalipa's gyms, Invictus, there's like the top of the top respected gyms that were CrossFit affiliates. That has just cascaded down, and there's going to be thousands of gyms that de-affiliate.
So where do I get my programming if I'm a new gym? Like if I've been doing it a long time, I do my own programming, right? But if I'm a new gym, who do I look to? Or is that ever what CrossFit was for? I'm like learning this.
No gyms follow CrossFit headquarters main site programming. None of them.
Did they ever?
Yes. a long time ago. I actually remember the very first gym that I went to, and they followed main site, and then we had a coach come in and start doing her own programming, and it was like chaos in the gym because it was like we didn't understand why anybody would want to not do Greg Glassman's programming. It's his programming, but I'm talking about 15 years ago.
Right. It's like if you like, hey, we're not going to do this. We're not going to do these 23 poses of Bikram. We're going to do something else. But
yeah,
what?
Like 26-2 is now 23-1. You're like, no, what? The guy, yeah, like.
So well, okay. So then, if the games thing isn't the thing,
the games thing is super, super easy in a way.
Right, but I want to get back to the question though. If everybody de-affiliates, right, and they're saving their $3,000 a year, right? Do people just do whatever they want? If I'm a new guy and I want to do CrossFit, functional fitness, Anders, is someone else going to come in that's going to teach people, or you're just gonna be like, you know what? I don't need a fucking thing. And maybe a lot of people get taught wrong because
what's stopping you from getting 10 buddies together and going and running up a mountain?
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. So do we need it at all?
You don't need it at all, but we're humans and we like to be a part of tribes.
Right.
So that is what has like kept everybody together. It's like this unifying theme. You go around, you're in the airport, you see like the CrossFit my town, and they're like, we could totally be friends.
Right. When I see
even if we know nothing about each other, we can at least talk about how bad Fran is. There's unifying themes inside the culture that
just like
bring
the rest of
together.
us do when we see a Spartan shirt in the wild or a Tough Mudder shirt in the wild.
Totally.
I do not say a roo though. That's not what I do when I see people.
I hate doing that at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, you don't have to. But
no way.
But you often see people wear them, which is interesting. What, buddy? Who's being mean to you? Oh, okay. So
don't you love that that's like totally acceptable in podcasts and meetings and stuff now?
Well, but listen, I just want to say I'm ahead on the Zoom curve. All right. You and I were doing this before everyone had to get fucking Zoom. But yes, I do think that you and I could have lots of conversations about content, but getting back to this, if we want to be part of something, then is someone going to come in and fill that void? Is it going to be Rich? Is it going to be somebody else that's like, hey, if you want to get certified, pay for my thing, right?
So you have to think about what people – this is probably like one of the best business lessons I've ever probably gotten. If I am looking to do exactly what Greg Glassman tells me –
Hang on one second. I can't have a conversation because I'm on a Zoom. However, I need you to take your medicine, which is on the counter. And yes, he can come in there with you. I'm on a call right now.
Beautiful. Parenting, the best.
See, here's the thing. This little shit right here is now laughing after he totally riles him up. Come here, buddy. Come here. Say hey to Anders.
Hey.
Okay.
It's gone.
See you later. Okay, so you were saying something really good.
Yeah. So this is probably the best lesson that you can learn over the course of this is my 10th year of being an entrepreneur or owning. I don't even know what that word means anymore, of owning businesses and trying to grow something that matters in the fitness space. And I'm sure it's for every industry. The worst thing you can do is look out and say, I want to be like that person, and then try to emulate what they do. One of the best ways to do it is to look in and say, this is what I think is fun. This is what I enjoy doing. This is what I would like to coach people on. And this is how I would like to sell it to people so that they feel connected to the brand and the person that I am. If you were the person that wanted to be a part of CrossFit because you were like, I want what they all have, you at some point are going to get burnt out on trying to be something that is not authentic to you, and it's going to lose its interest, and you will just slowly just nature will pull you away from that, and you will start to hate it because you are not being authentic to who you are. And maybe even if you started, like, if you're just, you see this all the time with like the beginners that get into something like Spartan races. They're like, I'm going to do all the races. I'm going to just train so hard. I'm going to the gym. And then like 2 years later, you're like, dude, what happened? You're like, yeah, turns out I don't really like running mountains that much. It was just cool because I was so high at the beginning, and like I was just stoked, and I met all these cool people. But like over time, I just kind of like, it just wasn't me. Like, you got to find the thing that gets you stoked. So when you ask, is Rich Froning going to come in and start offering seminars? I doubt it. Because Rich Froning doesn't want to probably be a coach to the world. He doesn't want to coach coaches. He doesn't want to build systems to specifically make a methodology and hold up the accreditations and all this other stuff that goes along with what Glassman has to do. Like, Glassman has like lobbyists fighting in Washington, D.C. to ensure that CrossFit remains an accredited source for fitness trainers. Do you think Froning wants to go to DC or pay a lobbyist to go to DC and fight for his accreditation? No, the dude wants to work out. That's what he's good at. He's good at getting all the people motivated in the gym and saying, I'm here to be the best, and if you're not here to be the best, get the fuck out. That's what he's good at, and he's the best. Matt Frazier doesn't want to do it. Noah Olson doesn't want to do it. Tia Claire doesn't want to do it. They're all athletes, so they need to do athlete things. And if there is somebody that through all of this chaos is very interested in systemizing the way that coaches go about education and becoming better coaches, and they put the work into it, and they do something that is unique and engaging and interesting and unites all the people in the same way that Glassman has, then something new may come out of this. Somebody then may take the thing. But if you think that like James Fitzgerald's a really good example. Do you know who he is?
Mm-mm.
So he was the very first CrossFit Games winner way back in the day. And he is a very intelligent human being that has a very good knowledge of training. And he won the very first CrossFit Games. So he became elevated from a really good athlete on the internet to now you're the champ. So when you become the champ, and now CrossFit is making its surge into the mainstream or into wherever this super upward growth, now you have this figure. And that figure fit very well. He was very in shape, very likable. He was Canadian. He's a very nice person. He's also very intellectual, well-spoken. Like they had their Rich Froning early. And then James Fitzgerald, though, is like a coach's coach. He wants things to be done the right way. And when he starts to see inaccuracies in the CrossFit methodology, it's not in him to sit quietly and say, Glassman, you're right. He was in search of the truth. He wanted to know what was the right way to do this and the best way to meet people where they're at. So he started poking holes and was very public about his, like, if we're going to make CrossFit what it should be, it needs to be done this way, which didn't always align with Greg. So they kicked him out. They like straight up blackballed him. He was done. And I'm sure it was very, very painful because when he found CrossFit, he had built everything in that direction. Well, then he went and founded Optimum Performance Training. That was his personal training business, but it grew. The coaching development grew. All of the systems have grown, and he has a really great business. And now he's got gyms opening that are all basically coaches that have come through his system that run his model. It's called OPEX. They rebranded a couple years ago, but in his heart, he could step in, take all of the CrossFit people and say, this is a better way to do it. So that's half of the equation, right? Like James could do it. And there's many James Fitzgeralds out there. He may be one of the best, but say there's 10 of them. All 10 of those people could do it. But then the other half of it is, do the people want to come to your tribe? Do they want to leave CrossFit and find the new person who's going to be the new cult leader. It doesn't just happen overnight. Like it doesn't, you don't just like become Glassman a little bit. Glassman was doing this for 10, 12 years before it launched. And that was after he had been a personal trainer for a very long time. I think Glassman was like in his like mid 40s or something before CrossFit became cool. So it's important to understand that there's two sides of it. There has to be a person that carries the charisma and the intellect and the raw skills, plus that craziness that actually, like, none of these cult leaders are normal, right? They're all a little crazy.
Right.
That all the ones that we've mentioned in the show. And then you have to have all of the CrossFit people saying, well, we hate that now. And then they go, okay, well, what else is out there? And then they have to be like ready to join another thing.
Right.
Like
I've only spent untold thousands on signage and shirts and merch with the word CrossFit on it. Right.
Yeah, what are you going to do? Get rid of your whole wardrobe tomorrow and then replace it with OPEX?
But I feel like
replace it with the new thing.
But I feel like, I mean, you tell me, but I feel like clearly you're not going to have it on your gym. But if you and I are talking about CrossFit, we're talking about.
I rebranded my gym.
Right. But I'm saying that, like, if you and I meet each other at a bar or whatever, and you say, what do? You look fit. And I say, well, I like to run up hills and occasionally do an obstacle. And you're like, I kind of do CrossFit. Even if Glassman's dead and CrossFit, the brand, is dead, you can say it and it's okay. You're not going to say, I do this functional fitness, right?
Totally. Right. The name is great. The name is like I don't know. You know, Greg Glassman owns 100% of the company.
Right, because
that's a very important thing.
Right, him and his wife did a thing, and now it's just him. But it's the problem, to talk to my audience directly. It's the problem with Spartan, in many ways, is that Spartan's never been okay saying we're the best, we're the kings of, we make the rules for obstacle racing. They're like, no. We are it. It's Spartan racing. Spartan racing is going to the Olympics, which is a flaw because people don't believe that and they're only going to rail against that because you're not. Like, Spartan isn't CrossFit. Spartan is obstacle racing, and be okay with that. Yeah. You are the kings. Everybody else has gotten fucking out of business. But more and more as things have gone on, they've called it Spartan racing. It's like, no, it's not. It's obstacle racing, and you're the best at it. And be okay. Yeah. But CrossFit is CrossFit. So again, you and I can talk about it without it being on our shirts and without it being on the masthead, not the masthead, being on the, what do you call it? The sign we have outside.
Yeah.
Right?
I think the word CrossFit has just become so easy to say. And in order for it to become a household name, that's like an insane amount of work. Correct. So not only do you have to get the name right with whatever the next thing is, but then you have to create the following, and then you have to get people comfortable saying it, and then all the marketing and all the stories and all the people that go along with that, right? So like you roll the dice, and now it's shattered at the end right now. But like, something has to emerge, and what happens all the time when things get shattered or when there's a big transition, most people are just going to come back because it's their safe space. You're gonna be like, look, I know the guy's I know that guy's a jerk. I know he said stupid stuff, but I just like CrossFit and I just want to get my fitness in and I want to go home. Most people next week won't care. I truly believe that.
What about de-affiliating though? That's a thing. They're gonna re-affiliate?
The businesses that are de-affiliating right now, the ones at the top were already going to do that. Those people were like, it didn't matter. They were already big enough businesses. They didn't need it. And then everyone underneath that is following those people's leads, right? You needed the big pieces to fall. You needed Invictus to fall. You needed Khalipa's gyms to fall. You needed a lot of the gyms in LA that are kind of like leaders and been around a long time. Dude, if I shouldn't say if I was Glassman. There's a model in which Glassman steps down at noon today. Hold on. And he still owns 100% of the company, but takes himself out of the day-to-day organization. And then next week, everyone's like, oh, yeah, we just go to the CrossFit Games because Glassman's not there anymore, even though he still is making all of the money.
What percentage do you think that happens? Like today, if you were going to bet on it?
Like 97%.
Wait a minute. You think he's going to step down?
I think that Glassman has to. I don't think he steps down because he thinks he's wrong. I just think someone walks up to him and goes, look, dude, the time has come. We're just on to, we have to grow into the next version of CrossFit. Like, this is like the post-death of Glassman.
Have you seen The Wolf of Wall Street?
I have. I read the book too, actually. It was great.
Okay. Do you remember when Jordan Belfort was about to quit? And then he was like, you know what? I'm not fucking leaving. That's what I think. That's what I think about. Like, Glassman might have that thought. They all tell him, you're still going to be rich. You just don't get to be the guy anymore. Just go to do whatever. And then he thinks about it and then goes, you know what? I got two things for you, McNulty, right?
Yeah, maybe he has no action plan for what happens after he dies. Like, I don't know. I just think that that's probably in the interest of CrossFit as a whole, the most effective thing is to just say, look, I'm stepping down today. My time as the CEO and owner has gone. You know, we did a great job. We built this thing, but it's time for somebody else to take the wheel. I still own 100% of it. And then somebody can literally just walk up to Glassman or walk up to CrossFit, the new people, and Rogue can say, look, we're going to take the games. We own the games now, and here's our royalty, and here's our licensing deal. And this is a 20-year deal, but you don't talk about the sport of fitness anymore. It's now the Rogue CrossFit Games, and we own it all. There's a model that, you know, they just do the licensing of the trainers and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't think that it's like everything right now is like a very emotional thing. And if you've played the business game long enough, and I don't think 10 years is long enough, but it's long enough to like recognize some things. When the emotions die down, all that's left is business. And business is played typically with a lot of lawyers around and a lot of saying, well, here's what I want. Here's what you want. How do we structure this? And then we'll move forward. And right now, there's just a lot of people that are very emotionally bothered.
It took us an hour to get to that. That was we could just have that, Anders. That's what you're good for. You just nailed it, right?
Yeah.
Like you just nailed it in about 30 seconds, and I'm not going to use the rest of this episode.
I still want it to be called Sleep with All the Hot Chicks.
We definitely cannot do that. We can't do that. No, I think, you know, we can talk. I've been sued twice in the last year.
Really?
Okay? Oh yeah.
God, we have so much to talk about. Can we get out of this freaking quarantine so we can go back to real life?
And I now have so much of an understanding of why what happens in lawsuits, and mine are nothing compared to real money, real stakes, things like sexual misconduct. Like, I 100% know why people take the money. 100%. Like, why would you take the money? You should. It's like, nope. When you can take a check and make something go away that you're fucking losing sleep over. And again, I'm not comparing myself to people who've been horribly raped and horrible shit that's happening. I'm just saying my tiny experience with it. So that's why that really just sunk in with me, is that I've already done things in these things that I wasn't going to do. And my lawyer was like, okay, you can dig in and be an asshole, or we can end this thing by you conceding X, which really isn't conceding anything. Right.
I've been in one for like 2.5 years now, and I have a judgment. And
well, you're not going to collect, right? Like, you're never going to see the money.
It would be very, very, very challenging. Right. And it's for a lot of money.
So I think, so now that I'm not being emotional, because I've been emotional in the last 24 hours, now I'm starting to see that things will calm down, and like as you just said, a lot of lawyers go, what do you want, what do you want, okay, we meet in the middle, deuces. And people, as you say, want to be part of a tribe. Sometimes the negative term my wife uses, sheeple, they just kind of fall in line, and we go on.
Yeah, like it shouldn't be lost in this is a minor part of a gigantic thing that's going on culturally and with race relations and all of that. Like it's weird how quickly we have stopped talking about the pandemic. It's weird how the news just dominates conversations. Like maybe I typically don't watch the news ever.
Me either.
I'm very behind on everything. Like the post that I put up, like, was super real, because like I basically said, like, I don't know. I know that I don't agree with what's going on, but if you want me to have an answer for what to do, dude, I do fitness. The reason I don't that I've gotten to where I'm at in fitness is because for 23 years, all I've really cared about is training. I don't care about politics. I don't typically vote. I don't get wrapped up in all the stuff because it's just a distraction. I feel I have very little voice and very little um, reason to sit there and worry about stuff that like is on the news. So when you objectively view these stories that roll through where it's like 3 months we just get hammered with stay in your house, and then all of a sudden you turn on the news and there's like these riots and no one's in their house, and even worse, it's like people are dying, and like now I'm supposed to be like wondering if we're supposed to take money away from police, which is like the people that are supposed to protect us. And I like, if you want my opinion on that, I'm like, I don't know, because the complexities of all of it, I've been telling almost everyone that I talk to about all this stuff, like, if you're slightly more passionate about any side of the story, I'm just going to defer to you because you've probably done more research and you've been more educated, because all I do is train and try to keep my family going in in the best possible direction. And I'm sorry about but I'm a fitness person. I didn't even want to say anything at all until Glassman made it a fitness problem, in which all fitness people need to know that, yeah, we're all in this thing together. We're supposed to go to the gym and lift weights together and have fun. I have never in the history of my life like walked into a gym and thought like, I'm not lifting weights with that guy. Like, no, African Americans, watch out for them.
Right.
You never know what's going to happen when they load the plates wrong on the bar. You're like, no, we're just dudes that like to lift weights together. I don't think about it.
What about that guy that curls in the squat rack though?
There's so many bad jokes that can get you in so much trouble. Like, it's just,
so again, like to talk about how like I'm just as quick as anyone to judge on people, right? Brands, the things that people do. And I got a message from someone I'd never talked to in Instagram, like day 2 of the Floyd stuff. That was, what are you going to say? What are you going to do? I want to know all the people that I support.
Right.
And I didn't answer. And an hour and a half later was like, good, now I know your answer. Okay. That was her experience of me. Right.
Dude.
And I was like, that was interesting. Yesterday, I went for a run. I've specifically run, I live 2.5 miles from downtown Atlanta. And the last few times I've run, I've gone that way because it's historic and it's happening in my fucking life. And why shouldn't I go see, like, experience what the fuck is that? It's very safe, by the way, during the day. I brought my kids down on Saturday, but yesterday, as I was meandering through the streets, I came across a march. Usually it's a lot of standing around, but I happen to come through a march. And when people march, they chant, they say things like no justice, no peace. And another thing they do is they say his name, George Floyd, say her name, Breonna Taylor. And as I walked in, this woman was like screaming it. It was really emotional. She was like, say her name. And so I filmed it, and I thought, you know what? I'm gonna post this. Like this
I'm
moves
here.
me. I'm fucking here. And when I woke up this morning, I was shocked at how negatively it was received.
It's crazy.
I definitely got thanks for like getting on the bandwagon, right? So again, day 1, what are you going to say? It's not enough. Day 8, you've said something, now you're on the bandwagon. And it's truly, and again, as much as I criticize brands as a brand, right? This is what I'm being received with.
Yeah.
And it's really disappointing. And I try to do what I really try to do what you're talking about. Let's wake up every day. Let's put out good content. Let's have fun. Let's engage. Let's learn. Let's not get bogged down by all the stuff. But it's really fucking hard, man.
Yeah, dude, I was really struggling when people were like tagging me and stuff. Like, I just don't understand. Like
you're supposed to have an answer on day 1 or day 2.
Well, yeah, I specifically didn't, and I was specifically mad at people that I personally know. Look, you're not allowed to just know who I am because of Instagram. I am the last person you really want to talk about race relations. I have no history of it. Even if I read books, it would be there aren't enough books for me to like really know anything. I went to a boarding school. Like, what do you think, like, anytime you go to a school where they like post the exact number of minorities that go to your school, they're posturing as if it's diverse. They're not saying, like, if it was diverse, people would just know. Right. But when they're like, it's 23% African American, you're like, no, it's not. It's not. I'm there. I never see African Americans. You're saying diversity. You're shipping like Asian people to the school. That's the diverse. On top of that, I lived in Pacific Beach.
PCB, yo.
Dude, Pacific Beach is the
or PB.
least.
What's Pacific Beach?
PB.
PB, sorry. PB, not Pacific
It's the
Beach.
least diverse place.
Dude,
in the world.
I remember I used to go to your gym, man. We would tear down there in PB, man. We'd go to the fucking coffee shop in the morning. We'd fucking work out. We'd catch some waves, bro. It was amazing.
Super diverse, right?
Listen, dude, you and I could talk for hours. I made a mistake saying let's talk really quickly this morning because the last time
we're just getting into it.
We're, of course, an hour into it, we get into it. But I'm actually, I've got like a lot of calls today, and I'm excited to do them. So I'm going to put this out ASAP, and then we'll do this again where we talk for like 2 hours.
I want everybody to go to a gym or a place that you love and get your running crew together and just go enjoy humans. If we stayed off the internet and we didn't have to try to put our opinions, these very complex humans, into very tiny boxes to categorize people, and just instead we were like, look, today I'm just going to hang out with all my friends and I'm going to do the thing that unites all of us. And for me, that's the gym and lifting weights. And anytime I'm in that scenario, it's all love. And that's what I try to do through social media. That's what I try to do through the podcast, educate, fill the room with love. And if people could just go do that, you'll realize that like a lot of all the anger and all the things that we're experiencing right now is very real, but there's also little glimpses of larger life. And most people are getting along with each other. Most people are happy. Most people just want to go about loving people, and that's who you should be around. Like all this stuff it's very real and it's super heavy. CrossFit's going to be fine. The people that do CrossFit are fine. Your gym's going to be fine. Even if they de-affiliate, it's going to be fine. You're still going to get your functional fitness and feel good about stuff. The biggest thing is when you go out into the world, just try to love people and it'll all come back to you.
All right, buddy. I got to jump. Thank you for saying that.
Bros, good talking to you.
Good talking to you.